Give them a chance to practice and improve. Inspect what you expect. You are not their boss. You are their mentor. At every opportunity, try to catch them doing something right and praise them for it. Their confidence will grow, and they will grow. Ideally, you'll train them, communicate with them, retrain them, and communicate again. And so the process goes. And one day, they will be doing the same thing with their own recruits.
Very good, Jackie.
That was very, very good, Jackie.
Now, would you? Now you've all. I have the ability to ask a question, but we'd like if anybody has a question, ask Jackie. It's a good time to do it, but we don't want to all speak at once. But I don't hesitate because we don't want you to feel like you want to ask a question, but you couldn't. So if you have something to ask Jackie, let's ask it. Has anybody got a question about what she just talked about?
It was very good and very self-explanatory. All we have to do is do it.
Well, I think the most important thing is you have to make a commitment to your recruit, because I learned this a long time ago in the Direct Selling Association when I was going to a lot of their big meetings and that. I learned that when a consultant fails in this business, it's not their failure, it's ours. And if we all really examine ourselves, I think we can all look back and say, maybe we didn't do all the things to help them become successful. Look at your sponsor. When you had your sponsor, did your sponsor give you meetings? Did your sponsor give you attention? Did they give you praise? Did they give you recognition? Some of you might say, nobody helped me. I had to do it myself. Well, then that's great, because you're a strong leader. You are a person who really knows what to do, and that's wonderful. You're out front. There are a lot of people who don't maybe have all of that, but then again, they happen to be in a group that gave them all of that, and they become strong because of it. I remember many of our leaders in the early years we went through, they held meetings all the time. They did exactly what Jackie said. They held shows. Now, a lot of you say, well, I'm not going to go out and hold shows anymore. Well, then you limit yourself, because you're not going to really get the exposure to talk to about this business. So there are many facts. If there's a lot of things we don't want to do, it might be then we're limiting, and we just aren't going to get the recruits or be able to train the recruits. And again, we're not upset with you. Just like Jackie said, you don't get upset with somebody because they don't do it. Not everybody wants to do it, but the ones who do want to do it, believe me, it's well worth it, because you're in this day and age right now, we can be thriving our business because there's so many people that would love to go ahead and be able to do something and be able to be their own boss and to get out and to sell product. Now, I know in California, 10% of our working class population is unemployed. Well, that means there's 90% working. So I'm not looking at the 10%, I'm looking at the 90%. And I think that's what we've got to look at, because we can't get involved. Gail Bogdanovich had this story, and I think many of you have heard the story about the hot dog salesman. And in doing so, he was doing great business until his sons, who had been to college, said, I don't think the times are good, and I don't think you ought to invest too much because, you might have a problem. And so he started cutting back, and before you know it, he was out of business. And he said, you're right, son. He said, I guess there isn't any business here, because he formed an attitude there wasn't any business because somebody said there wasn't. But there really was, because it's us who really create the attitude for good business and for good sponsoring. And I think it's up to us, and we got to make up our mind. I think to summarize what Jackie did, what she said, I went through the whole thing. I was listening to that, and she sent me a copy of her outline, and my goodness, I just read through that, and I thought, that could be in existence in direct selling in every company, because everything she said is what it takes to be successful.
That's right.
The new recruit, right?
Mm-hmm. Booking shows is the way to go.
That's right.
I have a question.
Uh-huh. Oh, good. By all means, who is it?
This is Gail.
Hi, Gail. Okay, ask a question of Jackie.
Okay, Jackie. I know a lot of people do long-distance recruiting, and I think you do too. And how do you handle that as far as the classroom? I mean, not everybody's going to get on a plane and come to you. Would you do that through the email or just on the phone more?
Yeah, It's more of a challenge. But you know what? It's been my personal experience that when people are far away and they have a firm desire, they will do everything they can. Now, I do have my training on DVD, so I send them a copy of that. But I also send them a packet, and we make a time, whatever time it is, that we're going to have 2 hours together. And we have a 2-hour phone conversation. Is it the best way? Of course not. But it's better than no way at all. So, that's the best challenge, the best way you can make it. It is interesting, however, some of my most successful consultants who live long distance we find a way for them to be trained. Either I fly in, or they're driving through Dallas, and I happen to have the luxury of having a home with a guest room in it, so I always offer my home so they don't have any expense for an overnight. And I have them come to the house, and we do it then. So really, where there's a will, there's a way. But I would not discourage anybody who lives long distance from getting started. I would encourage them because they've got their own area that is crying for people to serve other women and in this business. So that's, you just find a way, to make it happen.
Now, isn't it true, Jackie, that Delane was a long-distance person that you sponsored?
Absolutely, and she flew into Palm Springs. She flew into Palm Springs because she wanted to learn about the business. She came to the
met her yet?
No, I had never met her. She currently, so she basically started like December, 20th, so that she could go to the convention. She had to sign up in December. Didn't buy her kit until January. Got 1 recruit in January and 2 in February. So when you want to do something, you simply, find a way to learn the skills. And we're in phone contact every day, every other day, because she wants to grow.
Now, Delane,
and she's doing a great job.
Right, and Delane was very serious, and I just wanted to share that story with you because I know that Jackie sponsored her, long distance gal, and she went ahead and worked with her. And Delane, Jackie got her so excited she wanted to come to conference, and she came to conference, and Jackie met her there, and they did a lot of training there. And of course, we helped with all the training, and that was a really good opportunity. And she's just done excellent from now. So we're proud of you, Delane.
Thank you. And I would like to add something.
Sure.
That Jackie said that is just absolutely invaluable. Encouragement, praise, and most of all, patience. Jackie is so patient with me, and she encourages me, she praises me, and it gives me the incentive to get out and do more. But I have to say, patience is probably the most important.
That with all of us, I think.
Sure.
I think we all have more patience with each other too. Oh, that is wonderful, Delane. Now, see, right then and there, that's a good story, Gail. You can see that it does work, and we've got proof positive on the phone tonight. Yeah. Do you have any other questions on that, Gail? Does that answer your question?
No, that answered it, because there's a lot of people that do long distance, and I've always been a little leery about it.
Well, when I make a suggestion, I say this very respectfully, is the fact is, you can do that, and it works. It works. Sometimes it doesn't, but don't get discouraged. But most important, recruit right where you're at, because there's a lot of people around there who don't have the slightest idea you're there. And then you can have meetings, and you've got people to go to meetings, and then when you have people going to meetings, they bring people to meetings, and so on and so on. That's how I built when I was a director, and we held meetings, and we kept contact with our people. We had training meetings. We had opportunity meetings, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, I've had meetings, and nobody shows up, and I'm getting so disgusted. Listen, I've had many a meeting with one person, but I don't mind that, because that one person can't leave the room because I'm looking right at her, and consequently, I normally end up getting her in the business. And so it really, I wouldn't feel discouraged by that at all. So I never am discouraged by the amount of people I have at the meetings. But the most important thing, meetings make the difference.